with other sociologists. Right.
Okay, so is that in the School of Education? Or?
The School of Education.
Okay. Have you worked with other districts developing K-8 or?
No, I have not.
No. Through the chair?
Yes.
I would like to ask the doctor if she would consider running for the school board at the next election. I think she would have a great chance of winning.
Yes. Probably won't ask you what you base that on. We'll get back to you. Do you live in Lakewood?
Right now I am living.
Oh, look at the Carl, sign her up.
We want to thank you very much for your time and all your effort in exploring this issue.
I appreciate this.
Thank you again. Thank you. Now what we'd like for everyone to see, to support some of the findings that Dr. Gupta has shared with us, we're going to show you what exists presently now in Lakewood and what we are proposing. In many respects, we don't have a choice, given the bottom-heavy population that we have. And what I mean by bottom-heavy is if we look at the numbers in our lower grades, we're going to have to do something in order to ensure that we do not have a weak. And you'll see the numbers, and I want you to consider this. If we continue with what we have, we are going to have more than 25, possibly, we have it already at the Spruce Street School in our kindergarten, we have upwards to 30 children in a class. We must reduce that, and we can't take the risk of having that in other grades. So we're going to propose something in terms of equalizing the numbers across the 5 schools. That's just logistically. Pedagogically, the issues that Dr. Dasgupta has raised are very most important, and that was the motivating factor for this proposal to come forward. So let's look at some of the things that Gus Kakavas, and for the parents who are here, he is our transportation guru, and he is working very diligently to share with us what would happen as a result of this reconfiguration of the grades.
Thank you, Ms. Silva. If we could go to the next slide, please. What I was asked to do is do a comparison of the way things are now and the way things would be under a K-8 configuration. So in this first slide, what you're seeing is the present situation as it exists right now. On the left-hand side, you see the Clark School, Clifton School, Oak, Spruce, and the Lakewood Middle School. I have broken it down by the number of students in each grade, by each school, and I have the totals by school in the right-hand column, and I have the totals by grade in the bottom column. As Ms. Silva alluded to, we are bottom-heavy, which means that in the lower grades, we have the greatest number of students. In the upper grades, we have a lower number of students. That is unsustainable under the current configuration. So Ms. Silva has asked for me to analyze just strictly from a transportation point of view, is it possible to deliver service and deliver a better service under a K-8 configuration? Next slide, please. Here you have a projection of the K-8 configuration using basically the same format I had in the previous slide. What I've done for grades 1 through 8, it's called a rollover. I simply rolled over the same numbers from this year and put kindergartners in first grade in second grade, and so on. For the kindergartners, you can see where I have an asterisk and I have 120 in each. This present year, we had 600 kindergartners. We have them right now. That's the snapshot as of today. I simply took that same number and I divided that among 5 schools, which would have kindergartens, and I just averaged it out to 120 per school. That number obviously is just a projection. I have every reason to believe that number is going to be higher. There is a great trend right now for the younger children moving in greater numbers into our public schools. And you could see that column, kindergarten column with 600 actually be greater next year. But using the numbers that you see in front of you, same concept. As you move across from left to right, you can see the total for each school in the right-hand column in the red. And you can see the total for each grade level at the bottom in red as well. Now my next challenge was, how do I take those numbers and develop them into routes in which we have a fair number of children on each bus, and we also have a configuration where parents have concerns about a greater number of older children being on the buses as opposed to the younger children. The next slide is going to allay that fear. Next slide, please. Okay, what I've done here in this slide is I've taken the number of children that are in each specific grade at each school, and I have divided them into the number of buses, routes that would service that school to come up with the basic average makeup of each bus. And again, these are averages, but they're going to be very close. So if you look at the Clark School, the top line, you can see that on the average bus at Clark, you would have 7.5 kindergartners. And why would I put a half up there? Because you need that to show the balance of students. So you would have 7.5 kindergartners, 3 first graders, 2.5 second graders, 6.5 third graders, 7 fourth graders, 5 4 fifth graders, 5 sixth graders. And as we get into the upper grades, you see the numbers are stable and lower. You would have 4 seventh graders and 4 eighth graders. So the fear of the parents, where there would be an unusually high number of older children having some sort of a problem with the younger children, I think is quite the opposite. As the trends show, and also my experience, in my previous job at Toms River, I did transport non-public schools with K-8. And we in fact had virtually no problems with the older children. The older children became mentors. They became very motherly and fatherly with the younger children. They bonded with them. They were very protective of them. And I actually think, rather than the older children be a bad influence on the younger children, the younger children brought out a better behavior level on the 7th and 8th graders. And you don't even have to take my word for it. You can speak to the principals over at those 3 schools. They were Ambassador Christian Academy, St. Joseph's Elementary School, and Monsignor Donovan. We have actually 12th graders that were on those routes as well, 9th through 12th graders. So the older children being on the buses, what a comparison. First of all, is not going to be an overbearing number, and secondly, experience has shown me, and I believe it is, as the good doctor from Georgian Court mentioned, these children will have a different attitude both about their bus ride and about their education and being commingled with the younger children. So if we could go to the next slide, what you're going to see in the upcoming slides is you're going to see the way things are currently done in Lakewood. You're going to see a color code, you're going to see children, each individual child is going to be a little colored ball. The blue ones are from Clark, yellow from Clifton, red from Oak, black from Spruce, and the green are the current children that are from the middle school. We go to next slide. Where you see all those green little balls, those are currently the Lakewood Middle School students, as they are throughout the district. Now you're saying, well, geez, there's a lot more than that. There are, but because this is a very large view of 26 square miles of Lakewood, many of the green balls are overlaying on top of each other. We're going to zoom in on a later slide, and you're going to see how that zoom in affects the children and what you have. We can go to the next slide. What you see right now are the total layout of all the children from all the elementary schools. And remember, each colored ball represents a specific school. Now, I think the first thing you should notice is there's no specific one area of just one color. in Lakewood, what has evolved over the years is that there are really no truly, clearly defined sending areas for the children. There are no clearly defined neighborhood schools. The children literally do come from all areas of Lakewood. As the doctor from Georgia Court mentioned, there is an ownership that children take when they go to a neighborhood school, and especially when they know they'll be going to that school for 9 years. One of the things that we will do as we move forward, if this program does move forward, is we will have clearly defined sending areas for the children. It will be clearly understood when you move into a neighborhood what school you'll be going to. And the next time you see this chart, after we actually go forward with this program, you're going to see exactly clusters of the same colored balls in specific areas instead of seeing them scattered throughout the 26 square miles of Lakewood. Next slide, please. What I did, I just put flags so you can see where these elementary schools are located. The Somerset School, elementary school, is really the middle school. It's on Somerset, so I just labeled it Somerset. If we can go to the next. What I'm going to start doing now is zooming in. I want to give you a real feel for how we do not have neighborhood schools, how we do not have clearly defined sending areas, and how children from the same families go to different schools within Lakewood. So I've zoomed in. This is the first level of zoom. You can start to see that there's a lot of colors on the same blocks and the same locations. Next slide, please. Now I'm zooming in closer into the same area, and you can see again that you have a lot of colors. And finally, I'm going to zoom in for the third time. And now what I want you to notice, you actually have streets. And if you look at the streets, you're going to see almost every color on every street. So that you literally have children who could be neighbors catching different buses, going to different schools.